Before I get started with this article, let me give a shout out to Jason on Patreon for sending it to me. And one of the things he said in the message along with the article I'm going to read from, he says he cannot make this ish up. And he's right about that. And I responded back to him just like I said, no one should be remotely surprised about what it is I'm about to read to them, considering the nature of this entire thing. And when sick freaks like this Kenneth Dean Lee, who I'm about to talk about, when they need to get their fix, they will do just about anything to accomplish that. So the name of this person that you see in this picture, his name is Kenneth Dean Lee, and he is already a registered sex offender, and he could not control his urges because what he decided to do next is just, it's mind-blowing to some but not surprising to others. I am others. I'm in that group with others. That's not surprised. So what did this Kenneth Dean Lee do? Well, he posed as an ICE agent. You know, ICE, the organization that's used to round up illegal immigrants, and violated a immigrant child at her home. So he posed as an ICE agent in order to carry out his perverted wants and desires. Ask me how surprised I am to hear that, because I definitely am not. And truth be told, there are several more out there like him. That's the scarier part. A man who identified himself as an agent for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, showed up at the home of an immigrant family in Aurora, Colorado, this month and demanded to speak with the couple's 7-year-old daughter. Before the family could notice that the supposed federal agent was wearing an ankle monitor, the man strong-armed his way into the home and took the little girl into a bedroom alone, where police says he violated her. The man was no ICE agent, but a serial sex offender with a horrifying track record of impersonating officials to prey on children and immigrant refugee families, police said. Kenneth Dean Lee, age 65, was on parole for earlier sex crimes when he showed up at the family's door, according to the Denver Post, which cited an affidavit. Lee is said to have known the little girl's name when he arrived at the family's apartment, insisting to her parents that he was there to speak with her in his capacity as an immigration official. During the course of the investigation, it was learned that Lee has a disturbing criminal history with a pattern of similar allegations. It is believed that Lee has specifically targeted immigrant and refugee families to perpetuate his alleged crimes. Lee was apprehended on December 10th and charged with assault with violation of a child and first-degree burglary. No further details were immediately available on the victim and her family, but police said their victims services unit was in touch with them to offer support and help them work through this difficult event. While the community has been left reeling over the devastating attack on a 7-year-old girl, many are questioning why Lee was out on the streets in the first place. I question the same thing, considering he is a repeated offender. But what if I told y'all they continue to let these pervs and creeps out, and they don't, and it's like little to no repercussions for them. And then of course, you know, he's PC, so he has that working for him as well. He was previously convicted of assault charges after posing as a doctor to target a Vietnamese child in 2010. In that case, he repeatedly called the parents of a 9-year-old girl and told them he was a doctor working for an immigration facility that he needed to carry out an exam. He then showed up at the home posing as a doctor, and similarly to the latest alleged assault, he assaulted the girl in the bedroom before fleeing. In 2014, he was sentenced to 23 years to life in the 2010 assault, and he got an additional 10 years after a string of attacks dating back to 1996 came to light, resulting in 2 more assault convictions. However, somehow, he was paroled in 2020, a fact which came as a shock to the prosecutors who put him behind bars. In 2014, my office prosecuted a man for violating children while he disguised himself as an immigration official. Now in 2021, that same man is charged with violating another little girl after he was paroled early in 2020 in April. I am incredibly frustrated that a person convicted of assault, violation crimes was released years early and given an opportunity to offend again. I am sure I'm not the only one wondering how this could happen. Both the Aurora police and Kellner said they feared Lee may have more victims out there who have been afraid to come forward. In the past, this defendant targeted immigrants, thinking they wouldn't report his crimes. I want to encourage anyone with information about this crime and any others who might have been victimized regardless of immigration status to please come forward and contact the Aurora Police Department, the district attorney said. So this guy definitely has a type. And when I say type, I'm talking about type of child he goes after. He goes after children that or families, because as far as I'm concerned, he's preying on the families as well, because he has to get through to the families in order to get to the child, gain their trust, so to speak, come off as this innocent, caring human being, and then that's when he goes in for the strike. So, and when I say type, he's going after these foreign children who are immigrants, whether they're here legally or not. And for all we know, they may be here legally, maybe, but he's taking advantage of that in order to, like I said, fulfill his perverted wants and desires. And like I said, I am not surprised or shocked that this is happening, and I'm almost certain that there are plenty more people out there who are pretending and they're faking the funk in order to fulfill their sick, twisted fantasies, just like this guy is doing right now. This is absolutely insane. This guy does not need to be on the street, and I hold the courts accountable for that, for letting him out. How in the world does he go from having a 23-year sentence to being released in 2020? And then it doesn't specify why he was released. My only guess is because of the pandemic last year, when they was, starting to release certain prisoners because of what was going on, and because his wasn't like an intense charge like murder or anything like that. Even though it was intense, but it wasn't like he murdered someone. He still violated a child. Children, I should say. So I don't care what he or what they feel. He should have just stayed there and just dealt with it. That's just me personally speaking. And I think, logically speaking, that's a pretty sound level of thinking to have when it comes to something like this. Because look at what happened. He got out and he did the same thing again. He reoffended. He violated the bounds of him being released. So that just means he had an itch that needed to be scratched. And here we are.